So it's been a while since you've been here, and I feel like I've relied on you for information so that we could do these kind of shows, and but I feel like there's something that's not working now, and that we may be off to a different start than I maybe first imagined. Is there something on your mind that you want to possibly share?
Well, there's always something on my mind, Rob, but I got to tell you, this has nothing to do with you, so don't worry. But I got to say, I'm pretty pissed. I'm really pissed.
Okay. Tell me where did this start?
You know, so we're constantly getting our data stolen. We're getting our credentials stolen.
Sure.
I mean, we have 60 million credit reports that are stolen, and it takes months to find. I'm just sick and tired of our data getting stolen. And you know, the thing about it that drives me nuts, there's no accountability. All of these organizations think they're doing the right thing. They're buying point products, best of breed, whatever. But the problem is they can't do anything with the data. It takes them months to figure out exactly what's going on so they can stop it. And you know what? It's not working anymore.
That's not good. That's not good. It feels like these are something you should be part of the solution, and you're a little bit wound up about the problem. Is there some way in which...
I like being part of the solution. That's definitely the way I roll. And here's the thing.
Good.
There is an answer. And the answer is integration. The answer is being able to integrate data, useful data, data that you can actually do something with and stop an attack as it's happening, not waiting for 2 months or 3 months or however long it's been taken. Cisco's been on a 2-year mission to integrate the back ends of all of our security products and provide a free UI, a presentation layer for security practitioners and operators. If you own any of these integrated products, you get it for free, and guess what? It does the work for you. It provides the accountability, but we just don't have enough people using it yet. It just doesn't have the visibility that it needs.
Well, that is why you're here. Can I just tell you something? I'm so proud of you. That was you, man. You came out, that was insight. You just came up with that yourself. That is awesome. All right, guys, hey, welcome. It is time for TechWise TV, and I am joined by the incredible Mike Storm, distinguished engineer, 25-year veteran, who's always got good security knowledge. And you had sent me a note, and you'd said, Rob, I can show you how we are now doing 2 clicks to resolution, or was it 2 clicks to root cause, I think you said?
Yeah, 2 clicks to root cause.
You got my attention with that.
Yeah, I mean, what's amazing about this is that we have so much going on. You know, so many different threats. I mean, there's thousands of threats every single day. We have all these data breaches, and it's taking companies so long to get to the information.
That time to some form of
the dwell time.
Actionable knowledge.
Yeah, we call it dwell time. So it's how long after something happens that an attacker is actually able to kind of have freedom on the network and do what they want to do before they're detected.
Right.
So we used to call that time to detect. We've switched over to dwell time because it's a little bit more clear and more industry standard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The bigger issue is not just can I find it, but how do I take the tools that I currently have invested in and actually make them valuable?
Okay.
So that's the big thing, is that we've had this big,
You're not saying here's another new tool to buy that will solve your problems. You're saying how can I more intelligently use what I already have?
What you already have, exactly.
and
that's why why what we're offering now is completely free. Because you've already invested in the products. I mean, if you've got Firewall or AMP or Umbrella or email, whatever it is, I mean, all of these tools are relatively expensive, and large companies have invested in a lot of tools, not only from Cisco, but best of breed across the board.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem that every operator has, what do I do when I see something?
Right.
That's what takes so long. So something pops up and it's notable. I want to check it out, but what's my next step?
Which is a good first step, but it's not complete.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And see that's what we want to refer to as the operation of security, right?
Okay.
Making sure that we can smooth out those operations, we can provide value to these products through integrations, through automations, by using the APIs. I mean, we've been on a journey to do this for years, and we've delivered something that is now so far ahead of what everyone else out there is delivering. And it's giving operators the ability to do this in real time, to get to root cause. That's one demo that I'll show you here is how I get to root cause, just based upon something that everyone would understand.
So to make sure everyone's clear, we're talking Cisco Threat Response.
Cisco Threat Response.
And if anybody had, I believe this tool, correct me if I'm wrong, but it stemmed from AMP on the endpoint side, and there was we called it visibility.
Correct.
Is that
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody had seen that before, this is the same thing, although
it's highly evolved.
Yeah, you guys have been evolving it at a rapid pace. So that was just the origins.
Right.
Well, so show me, or show us, what it is you're speaking of here, because it's the free tool.
So what I'm going to do, instead of introducing the tool first, what I'm going to do is introduce a scenario.
Okay.
So the scenario is that I have an IPS, which is on, let's say, my NGFW, which pretty much everybody has, right?
Yeah.
And what I have is I have an event. And so this event, pretty much what every vendor on the planet would give you, right? It's going to be an intrusion event that you're interested in. It has your destination, your target. It has your source. Yeah. Something that a lot of vendors don't have is they don't have Umbrella. So they don't have the ability to do domain name resolution as well as part of that chain. So we do have another element here, and I'll kind of get to that later as to why it's important. So if I were to look, let's say down here in the details, and this is the kind of thing that just about every vendor is going to show you, which firewall was it? What was the policy that could have been, marked or whatever.
Where do we hear about this from?
Yeah, and this is really where it stops. I mean, this is the problem, is that I'm on one IPS, I have one IPS event, and it's malicious, but what do I do next? I'll go check my
levels
SIM.
of maliciousness or something.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't even know how bad it is. I don't know why it's here. I don't know how it got here. And if you ask any operator, they've had to build typically their own processes to do something next, whether it's checking the SIM, whether it's a SOAR tool or whatever it is. And a lot of smaller organizations just don't have that data scientist knowledge to actually put that stuff together. They need something simple.
So it would stop here. You would get, I'm aware, but now it's going to be a bunch of manual processes, if anything.
Maybe I go look at Splunk. Maybe Splunk gives me some more data. Tells me the logs, and now I have to go look, where are all these logs? Maybe I have to pump it into another tool.
We just get one alert as well.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay, so this is what we typically see from an IDS or IPS?
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done here is we've made it possible to simply click one button, and that one button is investigate. And when I click investigate, what happens is it actually runs through these enrichments. So we do a lot of data enrichment. So basically, you think of all the data that every security tool is collecting. You still have access to all that data. You still have your regular UIs, but we also have this tool that plugs into all of the modules of the API modules of each of those products, and it does all the work for you. So it's taking all the data, it's enriching the data, it's providing observables, it's giving you targets, it's giving you more information than what you would get by simply looking at that one entity.
Kind of improving the context, kind of color to the black and white image, so to speak.
But, I mean, you could still do that all day and have relationships between things, and it still doesn't mean that you've stopped anything or know where it came from. So here's one click, and I got a map. Now this map is actually showing me that there's a lot of targets. There's actually more than one firewall, more than one IPS that saw this, which means that it's kind of put all of my my firewall presence together.
Normalization and stuff happening here. Can you tell me briefly what do the colors represent?
So purple is a target. Purple is a target, or something that that sees a target. Gray is typically a network. Green is good. Red is bad. So you can see that I have a malicious domain down here. I also have a file, a SHA, which is going to be the malware. But probably the most important thing for any operator is, who is under attack? And this is where it gets really cool. Now, this is not going to count as one of my clicks because I want to kind of show you some of the cool stuff here, but I will show you the 2-click to root cause.
Duly noted.
So I'm 1 click in so far, but I'm going to look at targets. And when I go up here and look at targets, you're going to notice that as I scroll down, one of the things that's really cool about this is that it's not just the targets that you might expect. I see building for pump control. What is that?
Sounds like an IoT target.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, let me keep scrolling down here. You're going to see even more, which I think is really cool. If I scroll again, you'll actually notice that I also see an HVAC, a thermostat, and another pump control. So I've got 4 IoT targets that have no footprint. They have no security product running on them, but remember when I said that we actually add that DNS resolution to the IPS event? That's the reason, because we know that domain is malicious via Umbrella. And what it's done is it's now said, well, let me look at everyone on your network that's actually tried to access that command and control, that malicious link.
We saw their activity.
Yeah, we saw their activity in real time. And so it's actually telling you that, oh, your IoT devices might actually be communicating with a bad actor.
Wow.
That's good to know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Really good to know. So what, there's lots of stuff that you can do as an operator. I mean, I can jump out of this if I want to. I can actually go in and potentially block the domain. Now keep in mind, when I look at these context menus, what we've done on the back end is we've made every one of our security UIs use the same contextual menu. So you're going to see this whether you're in AMP console, ThreatGrid console.
So in terms of how this menu is built and how fast you're going to keep going to it.
And the reason for that is, like right now we officially have, at least at the time of this filming, we have 5 official products, right? It is changing fast. Every couple of weeks, in fact. But we have 5 major products that are integrated, 5 major modules, which includes Firepower, includes email, includes AMP, includes ThreatGrid, includes Umbrella. Okay, so all of those. And the product actually comes with the AMP and Umbrella and Talos elements in there already. So Cisco Talos, Threat Intelligence, that's built in. So we wanted to make sure that even if there ends up being a pivot later, that it's not going to look different. Because we don't always have folks that are 100% proficient in every one of these tools and can do things as rapidly as they need to be done. And so we make it very consistent here so that it's possible to,
faster assimilation.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to do a little trick here. You probably notice in the bottom right corner, there's actually a green because, well, we knew it was malicious, which means that Umbrella's already blocked this domain. So I've unblocked it behind the scenes, and I'm going to block it again.
One of the challenges of security administration.
Exactly. And a lot of the stuff that I show, I mean, we're going to use some snapshots because the data's in real time, and so it's difficult to actually see this stuff as it's happening and put it on a video show.
I'm glad you acknowledge it, though, because it's a moving target.
It is a moving target.
And we want to make sure we get these points across. And God forbid anybody should have a network quite as bad as the ones we tend to show.
Yeah, and chances are good that there's going to be some that are worse and some that are better. You just never know. But the point is, at least you have the data, right? At least you can do something with it. And so, I've got the ability to block the domain. Other things I could do, I could, use AMP. I could use Talos to get information from this. But what I'm really interested in is I'm interested in that whole process of, what is my root cause? Okay. Because as I said, we had an IPS event. It did all the resolution for us. It showed us our initial targets. And watch this number, because I have 18 right now, 18 targets. But what I'm going to do, this is the malware that was actually delivered, the SHA value, right? It's attached directly to the red, so we know exactly that that's, a major part of it. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this. And when I select it, I'm simply going to add this to the investigation. Now, you'll notice with my current set of enrichments, I have the source and destination IP, and I have that domain we talked about. The file's not in there yet. It knows about the file, but it hasn't actually been added to the map. And see, the file is the root of all the problem. And as a security operator, my goal is, how did the file get here? Where did it come from?
We haven't really defined our problem completely yet.
Exactly. So if we don't know how it got in, we can't stop it. Right?
Very good point.
Right. So we need to know. And so I add this to investigation, and it's going to add this 4th enrichment. And all of a sudden, look at my map now. My map has become massive, right? So I can certainly move some of this stuff around a little bit. Need to get my mouse in the right place. There we go. But what you'll notice is that it actually shows that this came in over email. You see these little ats? This is a target email. So that file, which is the center, and we can move this stuff around. I'll show you some examples, but this file, which is the center, there's the email service. I'm up to 23 targets now. I actually see all of the emails. So this could have been a phishing campaign. It could have been, a fraudulent email. It could have been a lot of things, but this is how the file was delivered to the environment, actually got to the endpoint and delivered this URL, which of course, not only do we have endpoints accessing it, we also have IoT devices that are using it for command and control. But I don't have any access to email. So that's really key. For most of our customers, think about this. The email guys manage email. Right. It's usually a different domain from a security perspective. They're managing email security, and they're probably not going to give SecOps or even the SOC managers admin access to email.
Those guys are crazy.
But I've been able to get to this information. I can actually do something about it without having to have admin access because of the way that the APIs work.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So now I've got root cause. I also see sightings up there at the top, so I can see both my environment as well as global sightings, which kind of takes us through the timeline. And again, this is a snapshot, so it's
Right.
it happened a few months ago, but it's a really good example of putting this stuff together, getting to root cause, and only having to use 2 clicks. If I wanted to do this in short order, I could whip through it. Within 2 or 3 seconds, I could figure out where it came from.
That was the whole point. So
Yeah.
this is all Cisco Threat Response, pooling this information together.
Yep.
It's API based. You made the point of making sure that we understand this is going to have the same look and feel, so that as you add more security tools, it adds more context, but isn't
Exactly.
going to complicate your understanding or ability to work with it because of the way you guys have consciously
Yes.
continued to grow this.
Yes. So imagine you've invested in the product. We're now giving you a free overlay operational automation and control tool that lets you use your products correctly. So for those of you that don't believe that free has any value,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, no, that's in my budget. I like where that's going.
Yeah.
Well, what else you got? Is there more that it
I
can
have
do?
more. I have more. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me actually jump out here. So here's one of the things that I like to do. I like to go grab some security events.
Is this a Talos blog?
This is a Talos blog. And you could go to FBI, you could go to Department of Homeland Security. I mean, imagine this. So you're the SOC guy,
Okay.
or let's say even worse, or even better, you're a small company network jack of all trades guy, and it's your responsibility to make sure you're safe. The only time that other people are going to get involved is if there is a breach.
Yeah.
So whoever it is, but the boss just runs in and says, "Hey, there's a new bulletin about this problem."
They read something.
They read something.
God forbid, I didn't know about it already.
Exactly.
Okay.
But they ran in and said, "We need to know. Are we vulnerable to it? Is it on our network? What can we do?" And so here's what's cool. It's like, you know what? What do I even look for? So they say, well, it's called, in this case, I'm using DN Espionage, which is a blog that was written a little while ago from Talos. The coolest thing about threat response is that we've actually integrated it into the browser. And so in Firefox or Chrome, it doesn't even matter what tool. I could be using Splunk, I could be using anything. And because I've got this cool little icon in the top right corner, which is a little threat response icon, it allows me to open it. And you'll notice that it actually found 16 observables on this page, and it's fetching them. Now take a look at
So it's
what
not just feeding it across, you're actually getting input back.
It's pulling the data right off of the page. And you know what? If that's not good enough, I can highlight the whole page, copy the whole thing, I can paste it right into a new investigation.
You don't have to parse it yourself?
Oh, no. It takes all the data, it takes all the copyrights and the Twitter feeds and all that crap out.
It knows what to ignore.
Exactly.
And what to use.
And so that way you're not.
I didn't know we could do that.
Oh,
That's
it's
funny.
constantly looking, chasing ghosts because you can't find the source. Well, here's what's really neat: is I can choose select all, and I just want to investigate this. I mean, obviously it found snort.org because it's part of the banner at the bottom of the Talos page, but I'm just going to choose investigate. What it's going to do is it's going to open up a nice little
Pivot right back
pivot
in.
right into it, brings up threat response for me, actually shows me now a map, and it's running through observables, 16 enrichments. It's going to take a second because these are all brand new. It's not coming from a snapshot. And what I actually see now is if I were to
That's awesome.
minimize this a little bit, I'll actually see parts of my network that I care about. So this is actually the area. Anytime you see lines, that means that you have something. If you just see objects, that means that it's just an object. You just put it into threat response, but it doesn't really matter to you. But this area, this matters to me.
Something's growing.
Oh yeah, I've actually got 4 targets. I've
Yeah.
got 16 observables that generated 4 targets. I've got 3 indicators based upon 6 domains, 6 file hashes, and 4 IP addresses, all listed here with my timeline. And you'll notice that this is actually the area that I'm interested in. If I wanted to, I could select this and I could just simply choose to add this to a new case.
Right click on it. Yep.
And if I add this to a new case, then I get a brand new investigation open just for this part that's actually relevant to me. So I can, just like that. So this was the FBI or the Talos notification.
Yeah.
The boss comes in, says, you got to check
a
this
web
out.
page.
Off a web page, right?
Okay.
And so I just got to and now I can do whatever I want, kind of like I did before. I can get to root cause. I can start to add things to investigation. I could drill deeper. But
That's pretty nice.
you don't have to do the work.
Well, because I get those kind of questions now in that similar situation, and I go, that's a really good question. And I hate it because I agree it's a really good question.
It sure is.
But I know also it's going to be hard for me to answer.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm supposed to be able to answer.
Right. It's your job to answer it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make sure at the end of the day, you've got to know for sure what is in your environment, whether or not you are under attack.
Yeah.
And see, when you think about, 60 million credit records get stolen and it takes months to find it.
Yeah.
They didn't even know that it was going on. I mean,
Right, that's always the most.
And this is using products that are probably some of the most heavily marketed, heavily touted, and most popular products on the planet. Not Cisco products, they were others.
right.
and they were breached, and they had no idea. They had no visibility into this. And look at what it's done. I mean, look at what it's done to customer confidence. Look at what it's done to credit. They implemented a credit freeze process as a result. There's all these things that have happened as a result. Some of them good, don't get me wrong. But the simple fact is my credit record got stolen.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you still angry?
Very angry.
Okay.
Overall, I'm going to be angry until there's a baseline for every organization on the planet. Something, and it's not that they need to create it. Somebody needs to build one so that they know what to do. That's the problem, is that we can provide the tools, we can ease the management and operations, but somebody has to understand what they need to invest in, what the minimum is to keep them safe. And I think I'm going to be angry until that happens.
This feels like, well, what else you got? Is this all? Is this it?
I do have one more. In fact, one of the things that's great about the integration is that I can save anything off to a snapshot. So I'm going to go ahead and look at some of my, actually before I do that, let me browse my modules here. I was going to show you this before, and I didn't, but it actually shows you the modules that are part of this. So there's the AMP Global Intel, Umbrella, Firepower, Talos Intelligence, AMP Unity, and AMP File Reputation.
One thing I like too is that this is working together not to tell me repetitive information.
Right.
Because they're all seeing versions of the same thing to a certain extent, more than likely, but it's netting it out and saying, okay, here's the combined one thing you care about.
And that changes.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, based upon the observable, I might grab a set of observables from a web page that includes also some host-based data. So it might bring in another tool. The modules are all loaded on.
That's applicable to what we're seeing now.
That's what's actually showing the data. Meaning there's actually a modules option up here. That's where all the modules are loaded. So when you have your products, you literally just open up the tool and you add your modules. Just an API key, but it's secure. So you add an API key to this, and you make everything available. And then the modules are actually customized based upon what the observable is.
It's an API key. All of a sudden you're getting all that data.
I don't have to worry about it. I mean, I don't have to think.
You're not flipping interfaces.
No, I never have to.
Bunch of tabs open.
No, I can pivot out of this. So if I select like one of these endpoints, for example, one of the cool things is that. So I could go right to this file, and notice I can actually jump into file trajectory. I can also browse it with record, or I could go into Umbrella Investigate and do Umbrella protection components as well. So I can pivot to other UIs. One of the things that I really like is that these context menus actually pivot you right into the right spot in the UI.
So it's a deep link in, not like, oh, here's your homepage.
Exactly, because a lot of times you have to be very proficient with every tool you have. And when you know how it is under stress. I mean, I've done a lot of special ops training and things like this, and we always focus on how much stress can we put on an individual and then get them to execute remedial tasks. Because it's going to change under stress. If you're under attack, you're not going to remember everything unless you literally do it every minute of every day. So this is going to make it much easier for somebody to get into a tool, be able to go right to trajectory, go right to quarantine, whatever it is. Exactly. And never break the rhythm of the investigation.
So is that all? Is that all you got?
I got more. If you want to see more, I got more.
One more.
Okay. So as I told you before, the browser integration is really cool because it allows you to use any tool you want. So I'm going to show you an example of Splunk. So I'm using Splunk, and in fact, I'm not even going to use a Cisco product. I'm going to have a Splunk instance that's actually getting a log from a different firewall that doesn't have a next step. And I'll show you how we can actually execute that next step.
Please, that's
So let me bring up the Splunk tool.
Okay.
All right, so what I've done is I've opened up a Splunk window, and the Splunk window is actually a log event, and you're going to see down here the actual unit that created the log. Okay. So here I am in Splunk. People use Splunk all the time, obviously, and in many cases this is the next step. So they found a fully qualified domain name, and now they've got to do something about it. But I mean, most folks are going to look at this and say, okay, how do I even go and figure out who everyone is that access this URL, unless I've got some sort of really cool web tracking. But then I got to correlate the web tracking with, was there an installation?
I mean, that far in the thought process, because it just seems asinine.
Right. I mean, it's great to have logs, but what the heck do you do with them?
Okay.
Here's what you do with them. You go up to your little icon in the top, and you grab your observables.
I forgot we got the browser integration.
That's right. And so it says, hey, I've got 6 observables, so I choose select all. And I choose investigate, and it goes out and it takes the data directly from my environment and actually shows me if I have this data. So it's actually running the enrichments now, 3 of 6, running through it.
Nice.
It's actually going to tell me if I have any of this data on my network, if I have any of these observables or any malicious activity going on, to where I could actually do something about
really,
it. And
obviously, that applies just about everywhere.
To everywhere, yeah. So I was using another firewall as part of my deployment. I've still got my Cisco stuff, but I also had another firewall at the edge that generated that event to Splunk that had no integration, no next step. And so I've actually used the CTR Casebook browser integration to get right to the root of that using Splunk.
Speaking of that, so Casebook is a way to share information over time on progress and such. This integrates with Casebook?
This is Casebook.
This is Casebook we're using here.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
this is
that's
Casebook.
why it's,
yeah, so the browser
Thank you
integration
for
is
that.
actually called Casebook.
Okay.
So we have cases and investigations that we can actually save and share with others.
So you can take notes on that.
Absolutely.
Other people can add to it, know what you did. You don't have to, oh, they didn't write it down.
You can close cases. You can, build cases for others to look at. You can all share them. You can do snapshots. I mean, it's just an amazing operational tool for the security practitioner. And I really hope that because it's free, that more people will start to use this tool and really take advantage of its power.
So if you have any of those products currently and more are coming, you'd be silly not to at least be playing with this.
Oh yeah.
Even if you only have a single product, it feels like it starts to present information in a logical way, and then any muscles that you work on there are going to apply if you add more tools, you start seeing more value out of that, you'll just get more context, and you're not changing anything that you're doing.
Exactly.
To be able to do it as well.
Exactly.
So it's free. It's also not even physical, right? This is a cloud-based.
It's cloud-based, exactly.
Cloud-based,
so yeah, so it's all browser-based
as well.
Yep.
Where can we go for more information?
Go directly to cisco.com/go/threat response. One word.
Threat response.
Yeah,
Perfect.
easy.
Mike, it was good having you back.
Thanks.
I'm working on that anger issue.
I'm feeling so much better.
Excellent. I'm so glad. Hope you guys are feeling better as well. Thank you so much for watching. Say we need to do more security, Rob, especially with Mike. That's the way to do it, guys. Cisco Threat Response, be sure and check it out. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.